Hey guys, hope you're doing well. It's Friday morning, getting ready to go out and get a lot done. I got a good bit of spraying to do today and some mowing. So yeah, we'll be busy. Justin's gonna meet me here at the house. I'm just waiting on him to get here. I feel like I got a pretty good little topic, guys, to discuss. I had a young guy, I believe the name of the title or whatever his name was Crump Family Farms, I believe. I believe he's a young kid, and he was asking me, young man I should say, he was asking me why do I use the different mowers I use, the Walker to go along with obviously the Lazor Z, the commercial style mowers, and why not just use a bagging system for the commercial mower, the Lazor Z, instead of having the Walkers. I think he made reference to that, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, I figured I'd answer that. I want to go back to years ago. And I really love this mower. I remember it to this day. This is before commercial style mowers really became popular, became a thing. I'm sure y'all all remember the John Deere 495. That was a mower that I ended up buying, I think around my senior year. It may have been a little after my senior year, and I graduated high school 20 years ago, back in 04. So I think it might have been around 05. It may have been my senior, I can't really remember, but it's around 20 years ago. So yeah, and I love that mower, by the way. The diesel engine is a diesel engine. I think it was 19 horsepower diesel engine, if I'm not mistaken. And I love the sound of the diesel engine. But anyway, I really wish I still had that mower. But yeah, with that mower, let's see, when I bought it, I didn't have a bagger or anything with it, but I ended up buying a bagger to go with it, bagging system to go with it. And the things I can remember, and I'm sure they're better now, the bagging systems are much more durable and that kind of thing now compared to what they were then. But I can remember that system, even though it was pretty heavy duty, I can remember it tearing up the belts and the fan housing that would shoot the debris up to the bags themselves. It seemed like it broke fairly often. And you just have things that would wear out. The bags would wear out, and obviously a lot of times I wouldn't want to have it on everywhere I went, and I wouldn't use it on every yard, so you'd have to constantly be taking on and off. And sometimes I'd want to take the baggers off, and that's heavy, so it's just real cumbersome, that kind of thing, guys. So yeah, I remember that being the case. I'm sure it's pretty similar now with these model mowers here, although I imagine they're going to be a little more durable in terms of the housing. But yeah, the thing about the Walkers, guys, and the bagging style mowers, obviously I got a Navigator, is the fan housing where the debris is shot up to the bagger itself. It's very durable. The only time you're going to have an issue with a fan breaking or tearing up is if you sling a big rock or something like that. It's going to mess the fan up. You're going to have to replace the fan if that happens. But as long as you don't do that, it's going to last a long time. You're not going to have to worry about replacing it for hundreds of hours. So yeah, I actually haven't had to replace this fan in this particular mower since I've had it. And I did buy it used. It had a few hundred hours on it, but I know the original owner didn't replace it, so it's got over 800 hours and hadn't been replaced yet. So you don't have to worry about replacing parts as much and as often as I would think you would if I had the bagging system for the Lazor Z. And y'all let me know, guys, are they durable nowadays, those systems for the commercial style mowers? I'm just curious if they are or not. So that's one thing that comes to mind just based on my experience from years ago. And obviously, you put a bagging system on this mower, it's already pretty wide at 60-inch cut, with a 60-inch cut. So you put the bagging system on, it's gonna make it even wider. So with the yards that I have, the gates, and some of these smaller yards as well, you just don't want a really wide mower on them. So it's way more advantageous to have a mower similar to the Walker with just a 42-inch deck. Both my Walker and Navigators are just 42 inches wide, so they can easily get through the gates and that kind of thing, guys. So yeah, that's obviously a big deal there, being able to get through these small gates and small areas, which you're not gonna be able to do if you have a bagging system on the Lazor Z here. So that's something to consider too, buddy. Bring that up. That's probably the main thing. Durability of the bagging system itself, and the fact that it's going to be so much wider, you know, as wide as it is without it, you're not going to be able to get through these gates. You know, a lot of these yards that have the narrow gates and that kind of thing. So that's my main reason for it and why I go with it. And honestly, they're probably, the walkers, you know, tend to provide a little bit better cut. You know, it just looks a little bit different, a little bit better. I mean, obviously the cut on the Lazor Z is fantastic, really good, but I think the walkers provide that more finishing look to it, and obviously it bags the debris, so it just makes for a really clean cut and does a really good job. And I've got customers that specifically want me to bag their yard, so yeah, that's a big deal. So yeah, that's my main reasoning for not having the bagging system on Lazor Z, and having the walkers themselves there. But yeah, curious guys, y'all let me know. I'm curious if y'all remember the 495s, the John Deere 495. That was a favorite. I think they're 570, maybe they're 775s now. I can't really remember. I don't know. I'm not really sure about that right now. But I love that mower, and it was my first big commercial mower that I bought. You know, it was around 20 years ago. So yeah, I have fond memories of that. But anyway, yeah. Hey, listen guys, I'll get some more footage of various things. I'll be spraying and mowing today. We'll talk about some other things. Y'all let me know in the comments. I'm really curious, are these systems for the commercial mowers, are they durable? Are they long lasting? Are they heavy? Things like that, because I don't have any idea. Because obviously I don't need one. But yeah, the main thing is the fact that it's not near as wide, and I can take these walkers and get in some of these tight areas too. So that's something to consider. But yeah, guys, hey, listen, I'll get some footage. We'll talk. Have a good one. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. It's about 4 o'clock now. It's got home about 10 minutes ago, and I'm getting ready to go work out here in a minute. But anyway, yeah. Didn't get any talk in between the intro and the various clips I took today, you know, the various footage that I took, but I did want to make some points. So obviously did a lot of spraying today, really had a really good day. Probably mowed about 12 and sprayed about 15 or so. So yeah, knocked out a lot of jobs and made some really good money. I'm sure we probably did at least, yeah, I know we did at least 1,500, you know, probably between 15 and 2. So that's really good for one truck, 2 guys. So especially this time of year, I'm really proud of that. So I was able to get a lot of spraying done. A lot of those yards are combination mow and spray. So we clean the yard up, get the leaves up, and then spray it, you know, shortly after. So yeah, I never want to, you know, spray a yard with a bunch of debris on it, bunch of leaves or straw on it. So yeah, we'll make sure to, obviously, before we spray, to get all those, you know, leaves and straw up if that's the case. So yeah, a lot of those yards are sprayed. We made sure to mow first before we did that. But anyway, it ended up being a really good day. Proud of Justin. Me and him, like I said before, work really good together and that kind of thing, guys. So one point I want to make in terms of spraying, I feel like, you know, something that you can use if you do the treatments, especially if you're not very, you know, if you're fairly new to doing the treatments. So obviously warm season grass in my area, you know, Bermuda and Zoysia, those are probably the 2 most prevalent, you know, types of turf grass in my area that I mow. You know, got some centipede yards that I do, primarily Bermuda and Zoysia. So one point, the Bermuda grass is going to be a lot more susceptible to weeds in general, especially the poana, which I mentioned in the video a couple of days ago, as far as being a weed that I try to, you know, that I'm not a fan of. You know, it's just unsightly, it's hard to cut, that kind of thing. So yeah, the main pre-emergent, the spectacle flow that I use in my pre-emergent, is really effective at controlling that. So one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be very deliberate in making sure that I'm putting down a really good thick coat in my Bermuda yards, my lawns that are Bermuda. Now the Zoysia, it's a lot harder for weeds to get through that Zoysia. Even, you know, when the grass is dormant, you know, it's just so thick. If the Zoysia itself, if the lawn is pretty healthy, it's going to be hard for any kind of weed in general, not only poana, but any kind of weed to get through that thick thatch layer from the Zoysia. So I'm not really worried about the Zoysia as much in terms of weeds, but I am more so worried about weeds when it comes to Bermuda. So yeah, that's one thing. One thing that I was making sure to do is making sure I was really putting down a good thick layer of solution on those Bermuda yards. But anyway, yeah, it's something I throw out there. And I guess y'all saw me getting the leaves up. If I have a yard with a wood line or a wooded area or a natural area, I'm gonna be more likely to just blow those leaves using my Lazor Z, just blow them into those areas off the lawn. And y'all saw some clips of me doing that. But if I need to use the walker, you know, to do so, I'll do that. It just really depends on the scenario in the yard that I'm doing, in terms of what I'm going to use, you know, to get those leaves up. So yeah, I had the clip of me using the walker. This is the T19 or the C19. You know, it's a little bit smaller, obviously, than the T23, and the hopper's not quite as big, so it's going to fill up a lot quicker. But yeah, y'all saw me get the clip of me using the C19 to get those leaves up. Is a real condensed area there. You saw the fence, and right to the left of the fence there is windows of the house, obviously. So I don't want to be using the laser to mulch up the leaves and just risk slinging something. And, you know, there's a lot of leaves there too, so it'd taken a while to kind of mulch all those up. I could do that, especially if I had mulching blades, but I don't have the mulching blades on there now. So yeah, that's why I went ahead and used the C19. You know, get all those up. I think I filled, yeah, you saw me, yeah, I had to empty it 2 times. Yeah, so I basically all those leaves, and y'all saw how many leaves there were, filled the hopper up at least 3 times, maybe even 4. Not sure if that last time that I dumped was 4 or not, but yeah, 3 or 4 times, you know, filled the hopper up. So yeah, there was a lot of leaves there. So yeah, it really just depends on the scenario that I'm in and the yard that I'm doing in terms of how I go about going, you know, getting all these leaves up and cleaning the yard up. So yeah, there's all different kinds of things that you can do to really be efficient and get, you know, these cleanups done as fast as possible. And by the way, you guys that are solo, and a lot of times I am solo from time to time, you know, doing these jobs and getting these yards cleaned up, it's so much easier and quicker when you have a partner, or at least one guy, you know, helping you. You know, whether it's one guy on the mower and the other guy obviously, you know, blowing. If you just work well in tandem, you can really knock these jobs out really fast. If you just know what you're doing, obviously I feel like I do when it comes to cleaning the yards up. You can really get these leaf cleanups done a lot quicker than you might think, you know, a lot of cases. But hey, having a partner, having a guy out there with you, obviously the more the better. But you got to be able to work in concert together to be as efficient as possible, you know. And I feel like I do a good job of directing people, and Justin really knows what he's doing too. So me and him really know what we're doing for the most part, and able to get these jobs done quickly. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, y'all, I'm curious if y'all ever had, y'all saw me blowing the leaves there into the pond. I always worry, because this has actually happened one time too. I'm curious if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever had a neighbor come out and complain about you blowing leaves and debris into a pond or into, I don't know, a lake or whatever? So yeah, that's what I was doing in one of those clips there. I was blowing all the leaves obviously into that pond. I think it was the last clip before this one. Yeah, I always kind of, not really worry, but I always kind of wonder, is the neighbor gonna come out and get mad when there's a lot of leaves blowing into the pond like that? But yeah, I'll do that. I'm not sure. I'm curious, is that something y'all do? We all just blow all the leaves and debris into the pond if you have a yard with a pond on it? You know, that's something I do a lot. I did, like I said before, there was, this years ago, somebody came out and kind of complained about me blowing all the pine straw and leaf debris into the pond. Obviously the customer didn't care, but apparently the neighbors didn't like it. You know, everybody's a little different. So yeah, I thought that was something that happened a long time ago. Just only happened once, but something to kind of always think about when I'm doing that now. Is somebody gonna come out and complain? But I'm curious, does that happen to you, Eddie? Some of you guys that been doing this a long time, have you had anybody complain about blowing debris into a water, you know, a pond, lake, whatever? Just curious. But anyway, yeah, that'd be something, you know, neat to discuss. But anyway, hey, listen, y'all, like I said, I was talking earlier today about my reason for it. And one point I want to make, obviously, I mentioned how much bulkier the Lazor Z would be if I had that bagging system on it. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to get through a lot of these gates. So that's really the main reason why, you know, I have the Walker mowers that I have, because I do have a lot of yards with some tight areas and gates, you know, to get into the backyard. So yeah, I need to be able to have a more narrow mower to get into some of those gates. I don't want to have to push mow much of these backyards if I can avoid it. So that's really one of the main reasons. And like I said, people just prefer the cut, you know, having it bagged. And you know, that Walker mower does really provide a really good, crisp, clean cut. You know, a little bit different than the Lazor Z, although both of them do a great job. But anyway, hey, listen, y'all. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video, and hopefully I did a good job. Feel free to comment, you know, let me know any kind of questions, or if you got a topic you want to discuss. Appreciate every one of you. Hope you have a great weekend. I may do a firewood video, I'm not sure. I may work half a day tomorrow in the firewood, set my sign up and all that kind of stuff, so I may do that. But anyway, hope you had a great week. Save some money. Talk to you later.